never rests.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
What is up, everybody? It is late. And some hearts are broken. Georgia falls to Alabama 41-34 in a game that, Rusty, I was teed up, man. I was teed up, ready to come in here, and I was ready to tee off. And they changed some stuff. But before we get into all of that, Rusty, this show is brought to you by Bulldog Snacks, bulldogsnacks.com. Listen, it's the official snack of UGA Athletics and the Classic City Collective. A portion of their proceeds go toward assisting Georgia student athletes and helping them, gain financially in the NIL world. And that's something that they contribute to. Bulldog Snacks also has the family pack going on right now. Visit bulldogsnacks.com. They got, the family pack, the fan pack. I'll get it right in just a second. They've got the fan pack going on right now, Rusty, where you can get it. And should you win, you get a chance to visit a Georgia practice maybe later on in the year. Buy that pack, support student athletes, and maybe get a chance to go see Georgia in practice, which, Rusty, I'm not sure anybody wanted to do after that first half, especially after that first quarter.
Yeah, Jake, I don't think the only other game that came close for me with Kirby Smart was the first year, 2016, at Ole Miss. They got beat 45-14. That DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, I'm saying you looked outclassed. Like, they looked outclassed at first. They looked a step slow. It's the first time I've seen Georgia not make any type of adjustment. I mean, they literally just got ran out of the building for a quarter and a half. Offense, defense, there was nothing going on. They looked outclassed. They looked outcoached. And I don't think I've ever seen a game turn like that. I've never seen a game in my personal, I can remember, turn like that, where you kind of make some changes, you make some plays, and next thing you know, you take the lead in the fourth quarter of a game that you were all but done. I mean, you were done in the first quarter almost.
Rusty, to look back at that game, like the roller coaster kind of emotions, and like I knew Georgia wasn't going to quit, right? But there was nothing that they didn't show you they could move the ball. They didn't show you they were going to stop Alabama. And the way that they just flipped the script, I don't know, man. Like, this was something, man, that I'm going to need a little bit of time to process it, because it's one of those, it was like Georgia's done, like Georgia's out of this, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden they just turn it on and they go. I mean, listen, I think you got two things to go with here, man. And listen, let's go to the famous man, the one everybody's going to want to talk about. Let's talk about Mike Bobo here. All right. That first half was kind of rough. I thought he dialed up some shots, and there were some drop passes, and there were some opportunities missed. Okay. But Georgia didn't even really show the interest in running the football, and it's clear that they had a game plan.
They couldn't. You got down so bad you had to score. I say, getting back what you said, they took some shots in the first drive.
They did.
They were going after those corners. They were going after those young corners in secondary. You talked about that last week, but Georgia got so far behind, the running game was done until second half. They were done. I mean, at that point, running it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the fade route's going to get criticized, and Colby Young, obviously, I thought he could have maybe been a little bit more competitive with the ball in the air, and all of that stuff there. But you have what you saw there in the first half, and you have the inability to really get anything going and kind of maybe try to regain some momentum, Rusty. And then in the second half, I mean, I admire the fight, but I feel like the writing's on the wall there in terms of what you are as an offense, because I know Alabama's doing some things differently, but they're trying to prevent what Georgia is actually doing to them, and Georgia's doing it anyway. Yeah. Georgia's pushing the ball downfield. And listen, I know they came up $1 short a day late. I get that. I understand it. It sucks. It hurts right now. Yeah. But the way Georgia adjusted and started getting that going, I think that's something. Man, if you'd told me in the first half I'd be saying anything about building on anything at the end of this game, I'd have called you crazy. But that is something big, I think, maybe for this team.
Dude, like Georgia Mike Bobo just put up 519 yards of offense with 4 turnovers. You know what I mean? And could have been 2 more. Could have been 2 more turnovers. And I'm going to say this, Carson Beck didn't have his best game. And I'm telling you, man, for about 2 quarters, he looked dazed and confused. But I'm telling you right now, you're talking about a dude that flipped the switch. I think Georgia found something, man. I think Georgia found something in the vertical passing game. I think they took some shots. I'm telling you, man, Lawson Lucky is going to start. Like, he got in the game. He was tight coverage, able to catch the ball a couple times. He just looks a little bit more twitchier than anybody they got right now. I'm just telling you, man, these losses suck. But when you look at a bigger picture, Georgia found something tonight, found some things. Arian Smith had 6 catches for 132. Dylan Bell had 5 catches for 104. Like, you're going to win a lot of football games with guys doing that. And they got to find some running game. But, man, they got so far behind. They had to do what they had to do there, throw on the ball. And I'm telling you that I'm telling you the one thing, too, is defensively, the adjustments they made. Because, Jake, I don't even know what was going on the edge, but that perimeter run game was just running right through. I mean, it was just slicing them up, man.
Yeah, I've never really seen Georgia that out coached for that long of a period of time at that position. And listen, I don't know that it was any adjustment that they made. I felt like they played with better eye discipline. You saw some guys starting to get off a little blocker. I mean, C.J. Allen, some of the plays that C.J. Allen made down the stretch, one of the most frustrating players I think I've ever covered at Georgia. He had some busts in the first half. He stuck his head inside on a run that just spit outside and was easy. He didn't scrape across. And then in the second half, he comes up with a couple of plays when he kind of turned the corner on Milroe there and just blew up Milroe and a couple of blockers. It looked like a bowling pin. I mean, it was a bowling ball. It was crazy. And Georgia fought so hard to get back in that game. And, listen, it came down, Rusty, to one-on-one matchups. It came down to 2 one-on-one wins there late in the game, and Alabama just won both of them. And it won both of them with freshmen. Alabama ain't going anywhere, man. And I do want to say that, like, I felt like the thing we were going to be talking about after this game was not whether Alabama was going anywhere, but just that Alabama had just outclassed Georgia completely, and that this was a decline. This thing was over, and then I think Georgia really did kind of show you, all right, listen, this is what we can be right here. And they held a great football team in check. And fought back. And it's not a win, but makes you feel better that you can get some of those wins that you need to get down the road.
Crazy. One of the craziest stats offensively, Georgia, 3 for 15 on third down. Jake, 3 for 15 on third down. Jake, they're 5 for 5 on fourth down.
5 for 5 on
I mean, how the hell does that happen? Like 5 for 5 but couple things, man. You just cannot spot a team 28 points. I mean, they had no answer. They had no answer for Alabama.
All of those touchdowns looked easy. Every single one of them looked easy.
Like it was Thursday scout team work for real. Yeah. That's like what I text one of my guys. I said, man, that looks like Thursday scout team work. Like guys are wide open and missing tackles.
And you could not be that is, and I think that's kind of the takeaway from the first half is, hey man, looking like that can get you demoralized pretty quick. And I do feel like there are a lot of teams out there that you get down like that and you just start to look, you move on, right? You go ahead and you move on. You mentally just start moving on to the next thing and you get out of there. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, at least in the second half, Georgia puts together this long touchdown drive. At least this is going to take the steam out of getting their ass kicked, getting completely blown out.
Yeah.
And little did I know it kind of was going to get something jump started there. And it's that first half can't be excused, guys. I don't think there's anything to it. I think everybody deserves criticism over it. Rusty, and all of that. But I also think we've got to kind of appreciate what it took to get back in that game. And what it took to get back in that game is Rusty, not necessarily what I think everybody's made of. I don't necessarily know that. And I tell you, man, that's a very stark contrast to what I was thinking when I posted the halftime notes earlier today.
Dude, that is such a coaching's talk, but like culture, that sideline didn't quit, man. I mean, you could have tapped out easily and say we got our ass kicked over here, and it was snowballing on you. But the defense got like 3 stops, and then Georgia turns the ball. The 2 plays I know that Carson Beck would love to have back was the interception to Jihad Campbell, number 11. I mean, I don't know what he was doing there, but he just threw it to him. And then the fumble. You can't have the fumble. I think that fumble was a huge play too, but for him, he didn't play great. But when he flipped that switch, man, you could see it in him. And he really turned it on, man, and brought them back and, made some plays there. Just could not make enough. I felt like everybody's going to talk about the interception. I felt like 2 plays earlier, they ran the same play basically, and Kobe Young had him stacked, and he underthrew that ball a little bit because if he throws that ball to the back of the end zone, he had the freshman on his hip, and that's what you wanted. They were formation-wise. They went 3-by-1 to get that one-on-one matchup, and you want to throw that ball in the back of the end zone. I think he left it a little bit short. You look at a matchup with a 6'5" Kobe Young, and it's just little things like that that happen. But, at the end of the day, Georgia came up short. But I really think, man, Georgia found some stuff tonight, especially in the vertical passing game. You know what I mean? They got to work the middle of the field. They didn't do it much against Kentucky. Didn't do it much tonight at the start, but they had to the second half. And they used those guys, and man, I can't believe it. Alabama was 3 for 12 on 3rd down too. That's another crazy stat too. So defensively, they were getting off the field after that. Those 4 drives where they spotted them 4 of the easiest touchdowns you'll ever see a Georgia team ever give up. Like, shocking that happened, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and listen, man, this was a different Jalen Milroe performance against Georgia this time. This cat, Rusty, almost accounted for 500 yards of total offense. 117 on the ground, and I believe it was 374 through the air. It was just really good, man. He was really good. He didn't make any mistakes. Georgia, I mean, man, there's so many things. Like, you kind of look at this game, and they got 1 turnover off of them. They had to work hard to get it. It ended up resulting in points for Alabama. Georgia turns it over 4 times. I mean, if you'd have told me Georgia trailed 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, would have 4 turnovers, and Alabama would get a safety, I'd be, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then Georgia actually led in that football game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can go back to everybody's going to watch a lot of plays. I think the ball that Carson Beck threw on the first drive, it was obviously they were going after those corners.
Yeah.
They're going after those safeties. Aaron Smith's got to make that play. In games like that, you got to make that play. And you look at Ryan Williams, when he was one-on-one and his quarterback, he made those plays. So you get a little bit picky, but I still think that Aaron Smith made some things happen. But I really thought, I was going through my notes, man. Lawson Lucky, couple of big plays. Dylan Bell, couple of big plays. I tell you what, and Jake, we're going to get more into it. I think the offensive line played pretty good.
I do too, Rusty. One thing that I think a lot of us forget is Georgia got into kind of pass-only mode there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And Alabama didn't really have anything for it as far as pressure goes.
Yeah.
Georgia was able to kind of control their pressure. They had to bring the blitz in order to kind of get to Georgia. And, I even thought in the first half, like kind of low-key because of how poorly things were going, that the offensive line was playing cleaner football, that it wasn't, there weren't a bunch of busts and things getting away from them like they can at times.
Yeah.
I thought during that stretch, that pass pro held up incredibly well.
Yeah, I thought they played well against them and didn't really give up a ton of pressure. Alabama brought some pressure. Yeah. And, I said it the other day. I said my prediction is that Georgia and Alabama are going to play twice this year. I don't know when they'll play twice. I just felt like these two teams, for whatever reason, at some point they're going to play twice and may play again in that Mercedes-Benz, Jake. If they do a second time, could it be SEC championship? Could it be semifinals? Could it be national championship? I just had that feeling, but it's been one of those things with Alabama, and I know it's another loss like this and another heartbreaker, man, but this game had a different feel because Georgia, if you're in a boxing match, they got knocked down on a 10 count. They were on number 9. They barely got up off the mat, and they almost knocked Alabama out in the 15th round. I mean, with a play with Dylan Bell and Aaron Smith, a huge chunk play. I can't wait to go back and watch the second half, just kind of see what they do. Kirby's talking right now. Our Palmer Thomas is down there. So we'll go see what he's going to say about second half adjustments and those types of things. But a lot of fight in Georgia, man. And I'm telling you, I just feel like what they found tonight in the vertical passing game on offense wise, I think they found some stuff defensively. They kind of like, I tell you who I think played better. And Jake, you'll be our guy, but I think Damon Wilson started getting more reps. I think they went with Jalen Walker and Damon Wilson there. Obviously, Michael Williams gave him everything he had. But
what a gutsy effort, man! You cannot. I don't even know. I'm going to look at it real quick on the stat sheet. But Rusty, I felt like we're going to look, and he probably played a lot more snaps than we would have anticipated.
Yeah, and he was. I mean, obviously, he wasn't who he was. You know what I mean? And
right.
He gave it everything he had, and get Jordan Hall back, and so. You take this game, you got a huge game against Auburn next week, a desperate Auburn team. I don't know how the hell they lost today. I turned the channel. They were up. I turned around. They lost. I haven't seen it yet either. So, but I'll say this, man, Georgia, got to go back to work, fix some things. But, what you saw, the biggest takeaway is what you saw. And I think that says a lot about that locker room and those guys and that team. They didn't cave, and they almost pulled off one of the biggest. It would have been the biggest comeback. It would have been the biggest comeback in the history of Georgia football had they won that game tonight, Jake, which is insane. Saw that. It would have been the biggest comeback ever for Georgia in the SEC, which was nuts. And
as so often seems to be the case, they kind of had it in their hands, and in a way, it kind of felt like Devontae Smith a little bit, the way that it all went down. But Rusty, I want to ask you a quick question here that I find kind of interesting. I contend, and I want to see if you agree with me. I contend that I feel like we probably learned, and listen, I'm not trying to put lipstick on that first half of a pig. I'm telling you, I was teed up. Like, I mean, I was ready to come blame everybody because that was just that was terrible, guys.
Well, it was the defense. Like, that's what shocked you, the defense. You know what I mean? That you go into a game and you feel like Georgia defensively, you're going to get, what you're going to get.
Defense gets held to a higher standard, no doubt about it. Yeah. And for Georgia just not to have an answer.
Yeah,
but I feel like there's something about the comeback in this one and the way they fought back and kind of the never out of it, the resiliency that Kirby Smart talked about trading it. I mean, listen, I know you got to get off to faster starts and play cleaner football and look more prepared out of the gate. But I don't know, man. That was a Herculean effort. It took a lot more effort to do that than it would have been to come out and play disciplined, clean football right from the jump. I guarantee you that. That doesn't win you any ball games. It actually puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit now. But I do think you learn a lot about this Georgia football team, and I'm not going to doubt it. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we just saw them trailing 28-0 and 30-7, and I doubted it. And, maybe I shouldn't have. I mean, it didn't work out, but I don't know. I feel like you learned a lot about this team, like you said, about tonight. And, Rusty, I do want to say kind of get from you before we, let these folks go. Looking forward, is what were you encouraged? If you just look at the comeback, what were you encouraged most by either side of the ball?
I think the vertical passing game, because you sit there and you think, man, where is Georgia going to find offensive production? And Kirk Herbstreit, when Georgia was down, Herbstreit basically said what I was thinking, like, who's the guy? Like, where's anything going to come from? And I don't know if it was scheme. I don't know if it was Beck just got dialed in. I don't know exactly what happened, but they started going a lot of dig routes. They started going that double slant, and they started working the middle of the field. And Alabama had no answer. They especially had no answer for Dylan Bell. Dylan Bell really gave him some issues there. Dominic Lovett, I thought he had a drop, but he had a couple of really good plays. And so I think Georgia found some stuff to work with. And that's been the whole, for the last 3 weeks since Kentucky, we've talked about where can Georgia win on the edge? Like, where can they win on the edge? And, that's the thing that I think I take away tonight is Georgia found some stuff in the passing game. Jake, my last question, and I don't have an answer, so I'm asking you straight up, like these people in the comments probably will. Where was Nate Frazier?
I have no idea.
I don't know where Nate Frazier was.
Yeah, I would love to know. That's a big one, and I'm really surprised that we didn't see him. Cash Jones came up with some nice plays for Georgia in that game. A big, what was it, a 4th down run at one point, and then had a catch on a wheel route. Rusty, I tell you what, man. I look forward to, to kind of answer my own question here. I look at it as, all right, Mike Bobo, Carson Beck, look, you take what you, some of or all of, or I don't care. You take what you found in that vertical passing game and you bring it right to the, front doorstep here. Yep. And you mix it in with the run game and you kind of get to run a balanced offense and you make something out of this, because that is where the offense has to go from here. And I think, getting off the faster starts, I think both sides of the ball kind of proved to you tonight that they can get it done in the tough moments and against good football teams. And that's what you need to know going forward. And they've got some good ones on the schedule.
And the one thing too that surprised me was tackling by Georgia. But that is something that you never see. You never see Georgia
clean that up a little bit in game. Like it was a bad first half again. I don't know how they cleaned it up. Maybe got themselves in better position.
But it's just you don't see Georgia miss tackles, and man, for a first half, like I don't know what was going on, but a lot of adjustment, obviously. And I don't know that Jake, hell, they may not have done a lot of X and O. It may have been man check. You know what I mean? Like check your manhood. Like it's time to, we're about to get around this building if you don't. So Malachi Starks played better in the second half. I thought he got caught up a little bit of leverage a couple of times. I don't know about perimeter run game, but tackling was an issue there for a little while. I just think that it went as bad as it possibly could go for Georgia on both sides of the ball there for about a quarter and a half. It just didn't. I mean, I don't even know how we're even having discussion this game that Georgia led with 2 minutes ago. I don't even know how that happened, to be honest with you. It's crazy.
Me neither, man. Me neither. It was I don't know. It was a crazy football game, dude. It was another one in the installment. And listen, Alabama's got another win, and Georgia's kind of fighting. It's not even an uphill battle at this point. Everything's within Georgia's grasp. Georgia's got another mulligan probably if it wants one. It's basically got to find a way to go. Heck, I don't know. I've got it counted 7-1 the rest of the way. That's what Georgia's looking for. They're trying to go 7-1 the rest of the way, and they'll be in the college football playoff if that happens. And
beat a good Kentucky team.
Yeah, apparently. Golly, what a day!
That's Ole Miss about.
Hey, did ABC get their money's worth today?
I mean, my gosh.
The comeback and it was the. Wait a minute, that is where the comeback was. Doubleheader. Yeah. Yeah, the Auburn game. So the Auburn game was on there, and then. Man, what they got their money's worth today, ABC did. And listen, Bulldog Snacks, man, they picked a great one to come in on. I mean, it's a loss, and we're not sitting here happy with a loss, but that was just an incredible comeback and something crazy that we witnessed. Bulldog Snacks.
We'll try to eat my last bag tonight, man. I'm trying to
get a little comfort eating, brother. A little comfort eating.
Yep.
Hey, listen, better days ahead for Georgia. Tough loss tonight, and the Bulldogs. They got to get ready for Auburn, and we'll see that one next week. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night on the Georgia Show. Y'all take it easy.